Welcome back to the Band Guide, where we use GarageBand to create professional sounding music. I'm your band guy, Colin, and today I want to share with you 5 tricks that you probably didn't know you could do inside GarageBand. And these 5 tricks are super helpful. I use them all the time. I guarantee you there's at least one in here that you've absolutely never heard of or didn't know you could do, even if you've been working in GarageBand for a long time. And there's a good chance that there's going to be a few that surprise you. So let's get into it. But before we do, I want to give you something. If you're really serious about making great sounding music in GarageBand, I've put together something to help you out. I've put together a completely free 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand. It just walks through the 6 steps that all professional mixes have and how you can do them inside GarageBand completely free. There's a link in the description below, so be sure to pick that up. And if you're watching this in real time, I want to tell you something super cool that I have coming up starting tomorrow. It's my Radio Ready workshop, where I'm going to help you take a song from idea to radio ready in 3 stages. These are the same 3 stages that all professional mixes and songs have, and I want to walk you through them and help you create more professional radio ready sounding songs. This workshop is full of my best tips and tricks from everything from song writing and arranging all the way through to the mixing and mastering process. So be sure to sign up. There's a link in the description for that as well. But let's go ahead and get into 5 tricks you probably didn't know you could do inside GarageBand. Starting with holding Option and clicking and dragging to duplicate. So this is essentially copying and pasting in one super fast move, and we can do this with just about anything. Let's first look at it on an audio file. So here we have a bass bomb that comes in at the start of the section in the song. Let's listen to that. In solo, it sounds like this. Right, just a nice big sub hit. Depending on what you're listening on, it might not be easy to hear, but if you're listening on a good pair of headphones or speakers, you can definitely hear that. But let's say I wanted to have this come in on every measure. It would be a bit of overkill, but we could do it. If I hold Option and click and drag this over, I've now copied and pasted that in one super fast move. So I can easily move this to wherever I need it to be. And now instead of just having one hit, it's going to sound like this. Right? Again, it's overkill, but we could do it. You could do that with claps, you could do that with anything. But we're not limited to audio files with this. We can also do it on entire tracks. So let's say I wanted to duplicate this snare track. If I hold Option and click and drag this down, it's going to duplicate this snare track with the region on it. So all of that copies, plus all of the plugins down here copy. So I've essentially just copied everything in one quick click. So we can do it with audio files, we can do it with tracks, we can also do it with any sort of MIDI section. So if I wanted to duplicate this entire section, I could copy and paste it essentially over there with one quick click. And then if I needed to copy a single note, so here at the end it has 3 floor tom hits. But let's say I wanted to add a 4th floor tom hit. Well, if I hit E to bring up my editor window for this MIDI track, I could click this 1 floor tom hit, hold Option on the keyboard and click and drag it over. And then now I've gone from 3 hits to 4 hits. Right? Super fast. It's faster than selecting here, copying it with Command C on the keyboard, going over, pasting it. It's a much quicker way to do that. So Option, click, and drag to duplicate. I use this one all the time, so I want to start with it. You maybe have heard me talk about it before, but if you aren't already, definitely try it out. You're going to use it all over the place. Okay, up next, we have Option, arrow up or down to pitch shift. This one can be really fun to use in creative ways. So, for example, here we have this vocal part.
Baby, we're not on call.
And if we wanted, we could take this and shift it down. So if I hold Option on the keyboard and click the arrow key down, you'll see here it says -1 semitone. That means I've just shifted down a half note.
Baby, we're not on call.
But I can keep going, right? I can go down a little bit further.
Baby, we're not on call.
You can get kind of crazy, and then you can start doing some cool emphasis, pitch shifting stuff. Now, this can get a little glitchy on vocals, so it's not always the best thing to use on vocals. You can also do a similar effect if you hit B, come in here with a pitch shift plugin, the pitch shifter, and we could shift this down, let's say, 4 semitones, and just bring the mix to 100. We're going to get a similar effect here.
Baby, we're not on call.
And it can be a little less glitchy. We'll take that back off because we're not trying to do that in the song. But another place that this is much more consistent with is with any sort of MIDI. So here we have a synth. Let's listen to this. Let's say we wanted that to repeat, but the second time we want it to go up an octave. So if I just hold Option and click and drag it to repeat the exact same section, hold Option and click up on the arrow until I see it say 12 semitones. Then when I have them play, the second one is going to be an octave up. So this is a super fast way to shift the literal pitches of your MIDI notes. Again, you can do it on audio or on MIDI. The one area where you can't really do it is on any sort of drum sound. So if I go up here to the overheads that I've created here with the drums, if I were to try to pitch shift this down, so if you look over here, it now says -4 semitones. It's just going to be hitting different notes, and the notes that we're seeing here are correlated to specific things on the drum kit. So by shifting them, I'm messing up what it's actually playing. So we don't want to be doing that on any sort of drums. All right, next up we have Control Click for fine automation. Automation is a super cool tool where we essentially have a bunch of little minions run around inside GarageBand and tell it what to do for us. So if you watch my little volume fader over here, I've set all these different points, I'm just hitting A on the keyboard to bring this up, to come up and down at specific times. So if you look at this here, right? So it's just coming up and down wherever I tell it to. Really good for getting that last final touch if you just need your vocal to be a little bit up or down at different moments. But if you look here, if I wanted to just bring this line up just a little bit, if I grab it here, it's currently at +2. If I try to bring it up, it immediately jumps up to 2.5. If I bring it up again, it goes to 3.1 and then 3.4. So it's not going in really small increments. But if I hold Control on the keyboard while I drag this, it then moves in just 0.1 increments. You can get really fine with your movements here. This gives you a lot more power over your automation moves. Next up, we have Solo Safe. Now, this is one that I accidentally came across not too long ago. After having used GarageBand and taught GarageBand for a couple of years now, I didn't know about this. This is a really cool trick that I'm surprised is in GarageBand. Solo Safing means that I can set a track to also solo anytime I solo another track or tracks. And so if you look over here, if I hold Control on the keyboard while clicking on the headphone button, the solo button, then it puts this little red line through. That kind of looks like a bad thing, but what it really means is now when I come down here and I solo this vocal double, so I've have my lead up here that I solo safed, and when I now solo my vocal double, the lead vocal also solos. So this is a great way to quickly see if things are really close in their recording. So now if I want to check how close is my double, I can see that really quickly. And then if we go up here where I have a couple more doubles, if I'm saying, okay, well, how's the left doing? As opposed to going up and selecting the lead, the soloing the lead, I can quickly solo it. And go back to the full mix without it, and then I can solo the right. So I can quickly solo two things at once without having to actually solo two things at once. I could also solo safe, let's say, all of these, and then I could be just checking my double relative to these other three vocals. I mean, you can get crazy. You can solo save anything you want. And if you've accidentally done this, then to undo it, you just hit Control on anything that has that little red line across it. Another common way that I use this is if I'm ever editing, like really checking the timing of my guitars. So here you'll see these little movements where I'm just tightening up the timing of the guitars just a little bit, just shifting these around just a hair. If I want to do this, I don't just want to do this in solo where I can't really hear the timing. I want to do this next to the drums. So what I'll do is I'll solo safe all of my drums. So I'll hold Control and I'll just go down through each individual track and solo safe each one. And now I actually have to take my guitars out of solo first and then put them back in solo, but now it will also solo the drums. So now I can hear how close is my timing relative to the drums. And if I just want to go back to the full mix and want to check the bass, just want to check the left guitar, just want to check the right guitar. But every time I do it, these drums are also going to be solo saved. And last but certainly not least is soloing or muting multiple things super quickly. Now this is another one that I kind of stumbled into after having used GarageBand for several months and teaching GarageBand for several months. I didn't realize that, let's say I wanted to listen to all these drums, as opposed to going through and individually clicking each one, I can actually just click on one and drag down, and anything that I drag over, it's going to solo. And then if I want to undo that, I can just drag up, and you don't have to be perfectly over the solo button. So as long as I click solo on that first one, then it's going to undo or do it for every one that I go over. And then I can undo it super quickly. I can also do the same thing with mute. So if I just want to mute all my drums, I can mute them all super quickly. I love this trick. It's just super fast. Same thing if I needed to record enable a bunch of tracks. I can just drag over the record enable for all the tracks, and it's just going to record enable all of them super quickly, assuming you have enough inputs to record on multiple tracks. So if you're trying to record 10 tracks to the same input, it won't let you do it. You can only record one track to one input. But if you want to record enable multiple things, I love this trick. I use this one maybe more than any of the others. This is one of my absolute favorites. So soloing or muting super fast. I love this trick. I use it all the time. It's last on my list, but definitely not least. Okay, if you don't already have it, be sure to download my 6-step checklist to a pro mix in GarageBand. It's really going to help you get a great sounding mix in GarageBand. It's the same 6 steps that all professional mixes have, and you can do all of them inside GarageBand completely free. So be sure to pick that up from the link in the description below. And if you're really serious about creating great sounding music in GarageBand, be sure to come to my Radio Ready workshop. It's completely free, and it's starting tomorrow. So be sure to sign up for that below as well. Before we go, I want to hear from you. Do you have any tricks like this that you use all the time? Let me know in the comments. If this video is helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another video.
One thing at a time, I can only